Down at the Queen Elizabeth High School with Mark Shuttleworth, the only South African in space. Last time we talked, and I think still is.
Still is, yeah.
You're doing another chat to the students here.
Actually, that's not true. The pilot on one of the test flights of the first private spaceship was a South African as well. So he didn't go into orbit, but he made it out of the atmosphere.
You're still the big one, as far as I'm concerned.
Well.
Okay. Today, what's the chat going to be about?
Well, this is a careers class for the kids here at QE2. I think there'll be a couple of other science and maths classes joining in. I'll be talking about ways to think about life and how things open up if you set your mind to it.
Okay. Well, I mean, everyone knows, I suppose, by now that you're the guy who actually put $1 million up to go into space. Is that how it worked out?
Oh,
More?
It was what it was.
Okay.
And,
but you had that passion. I mean, you're an entrepreneur. You made the money, and you just wanted to go and do it.
I was in a very unusual situation. I had sort of wrapped up this extraordinary opportunity that I got when I was just out of university with the internet revolution. So I was young. I'd been very lucky, and I wanted to do something that was that would take advantage of the fact that I was in a unique situation. Russia was going through a crazy, unique, once in a generation kind of reinvention of itself, and so that made the opportunity possible, real.
I would like to talk to you a bit about the Isle of Man and its commitment to space. I mean, you must be following this with interest.
Very much so. I think we're at the cusp of the serious commercial exploration and opening up of space for lots of different reasons, for commuter purposes, for science, for mining, for remote sensing, looking down at Earth, telecommunications, and so many of the opportunities that existed in shipping and in air travel in the past now exist for space. And I think the island has been pretty savvy about identifying that opportunity, recognizing that it would be both fun and adventurous, but also commercially rewarding to establish a reliable regulatory framework here. And there's always good opportunity if you're willing to lead, and I think this is a good sector to lead in.
And I mean, Alma's, the company that's involved, is basically asking people to come forward with money, and they're going to be pioneers. They're not just going to be tourists in space. They're going to be doing some research.
Well, I think the interesting thing is not Alma's specifically, but the idea that space as a regulatory environment is an opportunity for the Isle of Man. So there will be all sorts of different kinds of companies. Some will have vehicles that they sell or lease. Some will have services that they provide from space. Some will manage the relationships between companies that have satellites in different orbits. There are all sorts of different opportunities in the sector. And I'm not so much particularly focused when I'm supportive of the space strategy. It's not because I particularly think one company has what it takes, but just because I think as a country being small and therefore being able to move quickly, but also having a reputation for good regulation, good jurisprudence, I think there's an opportunity there, and so it's a great one for the Isle of Man.
And you yourself, being based in the Isle of Man, is it because this strapline, the Isle of Man, is a place where you can? Does that apply for you?
A little bit, yeah. It's very central for me. I do a lot of thinking, right? I do a lot of nerdy stuff, and so that keeps me. I look for a place where I can do a lot of thinking, and then where I can travel easily, and this fit the bill.
Finally, do you think you'll be heading back into space again on some project like what the Isle of Man's offering these companies?
Well, if we really are at the cusp of an era of commercial access to space, then I think almost everybody has a bit of space in their future, right? Whether it's just the fastest way to get to New York, or the fastest way to get to Sydney, or because that'll be a thing that increasingly people have access to. I think we can all look forward to a bit of low orbit. For me, if I do go back, I'd like to fly further. There's always what's become standard and safe and secure, and then there's the edge of the envelope. And I think the edge of the envelope will move back very quickly once we kind of crack the problem of reliable, low-cost access to space, and then who knows, Mars or beyond.
So am I getting exclusive here? You wanted to go to Mars?
Oh no, I don't think that's. I don't think anybody would be surprised. Some people think I'm from Mars, so it's not. That's not breaking news.
You haven't lost your wanderlust to get back out there.
No, I think once you've had a sense of, once you step out of the bubble, and you get a sense of how vast space is, you realize, well, it puts a lot into context. You realize, that a lot of our squabbling and stress and so on is utterly irrelevant in the broader scheme of us looking after our own spaceship Earth and exploring what's out there. And I think we'll find in the next 10 years, I think we'll see life in space. We'll see all the evidence and signs of life. I think we'll find evidence of historical life on Mars. I think we'll start to change the way we relate to what's out there and maybe be a little less insular as a species. And sure, I'd love to be part of that.
Finally, what are you working on at the moment? What's your next big thing?
Oh, I'm a professional nerd, and most of my time goes into nerdy things. I do a lot of design work. I do a lot of work trying to create software experiences across phones and desktops, and keeps me busy.